and in some cases can outweigh the fourth quarter, which is during the holiday, can outweigh sales sometimes 3 to 1 or even more during the rest of the year in certain markets and things like that. So again, this is why this is so important. Your ability to make a big, big push moving into the holidays, because you can see some major success for the books that you've written already, or for potentially even new books that you want to put out that are going to have holiday themes and things like that. So ingrain this chart into your brain, okay? And this is the proof that I'm giving you ahead of time that you need to follow through and do some of the things we're going to talk about here in these slides as we move forward. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to fire them over to Orna and we can answer those. And if you have any questions, if you're watching this on a replay, feel free to track me down on one of my websites and I'd be happy to answer any questions. You can always take this course at the Author Marketing Academy as well. So there are some specific things you can do in terms of holiday sales. And I'm just going to give you some ideas here. You don't have to do any of these. You can just try one of them. But the things I'm going to talk about here are just some ideas for you moving forward, right? So here's a great example. Why not create a holiday themed story box set, right? People are writing specific holiday themed stories based off their characters, right? Let's say you're a romance novelist, and you could take one of the characters out of your stories and write a holiday theme story of all the different characters, put them in a box set, put it at a special holiday price. You know, in 19 years of selling and marketing and building online businesses, you learn very quickly, you know, or not quickly, you learn over time that, you know, when people are presented something in a specific package, it's much easier to sell to them, okay? Which is why sometimes when you put triggers on things like, oh, this is a special holiday bonus, or this is a special holiday edition, you've all purchased something, whether it's an app or a music or a book or a television set or whatever, where one of the reasons you bought it because it was special. It was discounted. It was a bigger box set. You know, all of the social sales triggers that go off in people's heads when they make a purchasing decision to buy something, right? Oh, this one's on discount. Oh, there's only 100 left. The exclusivity, those types of things. So when you start putting your mind into these types of mindsets, you start coming up with ideas like this. Create a box set of your, let's say you have 5 books. Let's say you have 2 books. Create a holiday special box set of your book and put a little Santa hat on the landing page or a little Santa hat on the book cover and say this is a special holiday box set and put a special price on it and start promoting that out. What a great way to get people involved and interested in what you have. I mentioned linking characters from your books. What a great idea to take a character from one of your books and put them into a special holiday edition, right? Discount your other books as well, right? You can put them all in a box set, or you could just go in and get all of the books that you have and put special holiday discounts on them and say, hey, I've discounted all of these for the holiday season. You might as well just go grab them all right now. Remember, people want a reason to buy things. If they feel like they're getting it on a discount, then they might be more apt to purchase that book at that time. And of course, the big one is plan ahead, and that's why we're doing this early, you know, a couple months out from the holiday season. Is you want to start planning those things you're going to want to do. Like, for example, it's going to take a little bit of time to get that box set together. You're going to format it all together, get a special cover made for it. You may want to write a specific story just for the holidays. You know, it's going to take time to get that edited and uploaded and all of the things that, you know, is hard to do when you're creating content and self-publishing. So these are just some really basic ideas for you moving forward. There are a lot of things you can do on social media as well. And Orna, feel free to jump in at any time. I don't think I'm going to go very long with these slides. So if you want to discuss some of the things I'm talking about, feel free to jump in.
Okay, thank you, will do.
Good. So social media, you know, one of the greatest, I've said this forever, right? One of the greatest things about the internet, I mean, is the ease of being able to reach so many people. I mean, potential customers, readers, with just the click of a button, finding people around the world. I mean, look at what we're doing right now, having a conversation across the Atlantic Ocean with a mentor and a peer, and we're having this conversation. We're trying to help other authors. It's just an amazing time with the technology and the internet and social media and everything that is out there. But one of the things you got to make sure that you don't do when you're talking about doing social media is go into this whole sell, sell, sell thing. You've heard this a million times, but it's so true. Because taking that box set or that special holiday themed book and just blasting social media with it and saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, does not work, right? It just doesn't work. However, creating content around free chapters of the book, creating podcasts, creating useful, helpful information, just exactly like what we're doing here. A simple hangout here where we're sharing helpful information, and then maybe talking about your book at the end. There are some things you can do, like holiday hashtags. There are people who, if you're not using hashtags yet, you really need to pay attention to this, because people follow hashtags, right? They for example, I'll follow hashtags like author, hashtag author. I'll follow hashtags like hashtag must read, right? Or I'll follow hashtag like what we do at AMC. We have one called AMC Buzz, where we feature books from our members and we put the hashtag AMC Buzz, and people follow that because they learn about new books from it. Readers actually follow those hashtags. So check out some holiday hashtags that might exist out there. It's very simple to do. Just go into the Twitter search and start searching around for authors promoting the books with holiday hashtags. Heck, you might even make your own hashtag and put it out there to promote, special, holiday Christmas 2014 romance or something. I don't know. That was a bad example.
But do you think there's a virtue here in perhaps, obviously we're in alliance with lots of authors, as indeed you run also a similar large group of authors. Is there merit in kind of getting together with some of your peers for some of this, do you think?
Yes, and I actually have a slide where we're going to talk about that.
Okay, you see, this is why we need to wait till the end to ask the questions. You've got all the answers already.
You bring up a great point, which is, if you can't find somebody else's hashtag, why not make a hashtag and partner up with other authors? And we're going to talk about that, because that's a really smart thing to say, and it's really important. Share a challenge with your readers on social media. Answer questions about your books. We'll talk about a little bit about contests as well. And I love the whole social media piece of using high quality images. If you look at I'm an internet geek, right? So I read all the stories about engagement on Facebook and Twitter and what gets viewed the most, and it's part of my job as a guy who does author marketing for a living. The Facebook posts that you put out there that have images with them always get viewed more, showed more in timelines, and get interacted with more. So creating images you can include with your posts. Don't just post your book cover. Why not a special Facebook-sized image with your book cover, and it says, grab this holiday special book. Heck, take a picture of yourself in a Santa suit with the book, and put it up on Facebook and say, hey, everybody, you can check out my latest book, or this book I've got it discounted at this box set, or discounted for the holidays, and here's a fun picture of me. Have a little creativity involved when you are just putting stuff out there. The worst thing that you can do when trying to promote your book across the board, especially on social media, is just, again, what I said earlier, is just spamming Facebook groups with buy my book, and going after the people who follow you on Facebook and just saying, here's my latest book. Try to have a little fun with it. Create an Instagram video of you with one of your print-on-demand copies of your book, right? Post photos of you with the book. Have a contest where you send books to your readers and say, take a picture of your book and post it on social media, and just have some fun and try not to sell so much. And I think you'll find that you can use social media to really boost your holiday sales, because remember, people want to buy. Um, there are really a really good strategy for holiday sales is blog posts and gift giving guides. Okay, so for example, if you have a blog or if you can guest blog on someone else's blog, and you can put up a post called like this one, the 12 faculty books that make great gifts. Okay, well, why couldn't you? Let's say you're a romance author, right? Why couldn't you write a blog post that you could post on your blog and other places called the 25 romance books you'll want for the holidays, and put your book in the list, right? I mean, it's not disingenuous to do that, I don't think. Put your book in the list and go out and find 25 other authors who have written holiday books in the romance category or whatever category or genre you're writing in, and create a blog post and put it out there. Lists are great, and the whole point of this for holiday sales is people really want, they're looking for information when it comes to the holiday sales times. They're like, wow, I really wanted to get a book for my sister who's really into, I'm just going to make up some topic. She's really into architecture, okay? New York City architecture. So I'm going to go on Google and I'm going to do top books, holiday, or top books for architecture, for fans of architecture, or great gift books for architecture. You see what I'm saying? It's people are looking for that information. They're looking for lists. They're looking for what are the best. What you have to remember this. At the end of the day, people use the internet for two reasons and two reasons only. I've been saying this for years. The number one reason is to have a problem solved, and the number two reason is to be entertained. Combine that with the fact that people are inherently busier than ever. And, they just don't have time. We're becoming more savvy searchers as time. We're looking for that answer as fast as possible. So when you put it in your head, you say, well, I need to find a book for my sister on architecture because I know I want to buy this gift so I can get back to checking Facebook, right? I want to get this task off my task list today. So they go to Facebook and they ask their friends, what are the best architecture books out there? Or they go into Google and they do a search for what are great books I can buy for my sister. They don't want to have to do the work, right? They could go to Amazon, start searching and reviewing, and it's like, but that's a lot of work. And at the end of the day, people really they're not looking for work. They're looking for fast, and they're looking for easy, right? You got to remember this. People don't really read anymore. They scan. They have this, you do this as well, and anyone listening to this or watching this, you do this. You have to admit that you do. You go search for something. If you don't find what it is you're looking for immediately, you click back and you go to the next one. Nobody really goes past the first page results on Google. They don't. I forget what the statistic was, but it was something like 77% of people never get past the first 5 listings on Google or something like that. So people are searching differently. They're more savvy. They're looking for people who are going to create content that's going to help them. And when you create a blog post, like a list in this manner, you're going to be able to include your books in there, and people are going to find that, and they're going to say, oh, wow, they've done the work for me, right? Someone's done the work for me. Because, again, I said people really don't want to spend time figuring this kind of stuff out. That's what the internet's for, giving you solutions to problems or entertaining you. And that's why Google's the world's best problem solver. Because Google gives you the answer faster, better, more relevant than anyone else. Which is actually a metaphor for your business if you're creating online businesses or you're creating nonfiction books, by the way. On the fiction side, it's the entertainment process, right? So nonfiction's like the problem-solving, fiction is the entertainment side. So consider creating a blog post like this where you can say, here are the top 5 romance books for the holidays, and add your book in there, and then promote that list on social media.
And presumably you'd be best to put that on, if you're not a sort of a very high, a lot of writer blogs don't have very high traffic, the sort of traffic that appears on the first page of Google. So presumably you'd be best off doing that if you don't have that sort of traffic, doing it as a guest post.
Yes, and if you can get a guest post on someone else's blog, here's a great idea. And I kind of briefly, I talk about this in another slide, but it's smart to talk about it right now, which is, so find the top 20 other books you want to feature and contact every one of those authors and go, hey, I'm gonna write this post and I'm gonna include your book in it. Would you share it with your audience? Would you share it on social media? Your book's gonna be included in it. Would you reblog it on your blog, right? You know, your book's going to be part of it. I mean, there's a little bit of legwork, but these are the types of things you need to do, you know, to be a leader when you are doing book marketing, because it really all comes down to who's leading and who's following, right? Who are the people just sitting around waiting for success to happen? And that is the biggest recipe for failure in selling books that will ever be, is waiting for someone to contact you and say, hey, can I feature your book? It just doesn't exist. Why don't you be the person who creates the blog post and contacts the other authors and builds relationships with people, and you all work together? And we're going to talk about that here in a second. So other things you can do. Label your book as a gift, which is really a great idea. Connect with readers about the holidays. You know, talking with people on social media and talking with the people you have already signed up on your email list about the holidays coming up. We talked about providing something of value, and we also talked about guest posting and podcasting. Podcasting, I believe, guest posting is great. Podcasting, I believe, is the #1 way to really build true fans nowadays and engage readers and get people interested in what you're trying to sell them, whether it's a fiction or a nonfiction book.
Can I ask why that is? Why you think that?
Well, I'll tell you exactly why that is, because it's a way to communicate with somebody where they're actually paying more attention than just scanning a page. For example, having 30 blog posts that you wrote aren't going to be as effective as having 30 podcasts where you're actually talking to people and showing your personality and providing helpful and entertaining and relevant information. In my experience, and this is not just my experience, but this is also being proven in statistical numbers moving forward now, is that the podcast is going to do way more for you than 30 blog posts. I still think you should write 30 blog posts, right? Those are great to have for the organic search engine results. They're great content to be shared on social media. At the end of the day, though, creating a podcast or a Google Hangout or something where you're interviewing or talking to someone other in a video or audio format is always going to be more engaging than text. It's just the way that it works right now. And what you'll find is that when you commit to being guests on podcasts or starting your own podcast, you're going to find that people are really going to start to build a relationship with you that's a lot different than somebody who's just a drive-by, read your blog article, and never came back to your website again. You're going to start to build what I call true fans again, right? And I didn't coin the term true fans. This is something somebody else came up with. I just write about it a lot, and I talk about it a lot.
Kevin Kelly, I think, wasn't it, that every creator just needs 1,000 true fans to make it?
Great article, right? And I write very extensively about this in my book called Go Direct. And when you have those true fans, those people will do anything for you. They'll share your book with everyone on their email list or their Facebook page without you asking, because they just love what you've done so much, right? That's really the power. And the power in you aren't going to get a true fan by writing blog posts. I mean, when was the last time you really said to yourself, man, that person really wrote some amazing blog posts last year. I'm going to go out of my way to you know, I mean, it can happen, but I've found through my experience that speaking to someone or talking to someone in a podcast form or video or audio is a way better way to engage somebody and create a true fan. So let's talk about those events things. So we're doing an event at our podcast. Me and Brian Cohen are doing a podcast called the Sell More Books Show. And we're doing an event right now. You could be watching this on replay and it's over. But the event is called March to a Bestseller 2, a one-day sale on books for authors. And here's essentially how we did this. Brian is the mastermind behind Facebook author events. He's done this multiple times before, and we're doing this with him and through our show this time. But the reason I want you to see this is because there's no reason you couldn't do the exact same thing. It's very similar to what I talked about earlier about creating blog posts, right? Create that top list and finding other authors and having them be part of this. Why not create an event where you're going to get 20 authors or 10 authors together, all in the same genre, romance, nonfiction, young adults, horror, whatever it is, and go out to those authors and say, hey, let's do an event together. And we're all going to discount our books to 99 cents or $2.99 or whatever it's going to be. And we're all going to help promote it. We're going to set up a Facebook event for it. We're all going to have an event on this one day, and we're all going to help promote it on the same day. And get people to say, wow, look, I can go and get all of these books for 99 cents each or $1.99 or whatever you decide to be. Have a contest involved. Like we have a contest involved with this where the authors are giving away free copies of their books and consulting times, because this is a lot of nonfiction stuff, and things like that, or signed copies of their books and things as well. My point here is, again, if you sit around and wait for somebody else to just contact you and want to promote you, you're going to be waiting a long time. The people who find success in book marketing are the ones who create things like this, who are the leaders. Yes, it's work to go out and find 20 other authors in your genre and contact them and get the whole thing scheduled and put together. But guess what? Wouldn't that be an amazing thing to promote on the second week of December? That you have all of these authors who have these special holiday books, or their books coming out that are going to be on a special price for the holidays, and all these authors promoting it. Wow, what an amazing spike you could get to your book sales on that day. And by the way, this is another slide here. I think I have it in this slide. Is you can, once that one book sells, you know, that's typically how most authors make most of their money nowadays, is people read the first book and they're like, wow, I have to get the second one. There's that great call to action at the end of the book. Maybe they got the first book for 99 cents, but guess what? The next 3 books in the series are $3.99 each. Or there's a box set where someone can buy all of the books, right? Getting that first discoverability of your book is the biggest problem in author marketing today. This is why sites like BookBub are so valuable in getting millions and millions of dollars in seed venture capital money, because they built these huge lists of readers who want books, and authors can then pay to submit to maybe get exposed to those readers. Book discoverability. Okay, there's a lot of big issues going on with authors moving forward. We've got author services is one of the big ones. Not the business. I'm talking about in general the term author services. You know, book cover design, editing, formatting, all of those things. Then you've got discoverability. Now, BookBub kind of has they're the 800-pound gorilla in the space right now because they have the biggest list. Amazon's also the other 800-pound gorilla because of the also bots. And getting your book into Amazon gives you the potential to be seen by millions of people all over the world and hundreds of millions of people with Amazon accounts. So discoverability is that hard piece of this whole thing, and you want to get noticed. And if you can find a way to get discovered, you have a potential of building that customer or true fan down the road. And that's why creating those blog posts are smart. That's why connecting with other authors and building relationships and promotions and contests and events with those people is the smart thing to do. Giveaways, right? Give away print-on-demand books. Give away signed copies of your books. Give away a meet and greet with some people. I don't know. Give away something. But create something and connect with other authors and promote things together. for holiday sales, because once you get discovered, there's that huge possibility that people are going to buy the backlist of your books, and that's really what we're talking about here.
Could I take you back, Jim? I completely agree on so much that you're saying there. On the podcasts, we have a couple of questions coming through on that. Robert is saying that finding an audience for a book is hard enough. How do you go about building an audience for a podcast, and where would you publish a podcast anyway?
Let me give you an example. So let me give you an example. So Jay Thorne, he's on the board of the Author Marketing Institute. Full disclosure, he's a friend of mine. I said Jay is one of the top 5 horror Amazon authors out there, behind people like Stephen King and Dean Koontz, right? But he wasn't always that way. He did a presentation at our event in September called From Selling 2 Books a Day to 200 Books a Day. And he talked about how he got there, and it was a great presentation. But what Jay has done recently is he created the Horror Writers Podcast. He just created it out of the blue. Again, leading the genre. And he made a podcast, and he's out there interviewing other horror writers and having guests come on the show, and of course he's featuring his books. And readers are finding this. Readers who love horror books are coming to this and listening to the show and going, wow, that's a really cool concept. I like horror books. I found a new author that I love today. So creating a podcast like that, I think, is a really smart thing to do. If you write a romance, I'm surprised that hasn't been done yet. I'm surprised there's not a romance authors podcast, right? Or a whatever, any genre, young adult authors podcast. And you're talking about the business of authoring those books in that genre, but you're also talking about your books. You're interviewing other authors. Hey, why not? I mean, you don't have to do the format where you talk about the business of marketing and writing those books. You could do a format where you just talk about interviewing other authors in other genres. And you're going to say to yourself, well, Jim, why would I want to promote other authors? Because it's a good thing to do. You're going to get exposure in return for it. They're going to promote the podcast on their social media channels and things like that. And at the end of the day, your books and your brand is going to be built out there. So I think those are 2 really great ideas you could do moving forward in any genre with a podcast.
Joanna Penn has dropped in to talk about podcasts too. Hi, Joanna, your friend and mine. She absolutely agrees. I mean, she's a podcaster supremo herself, and agrees that podcasts are a shortcut to connecting with people, but also does point out that they're pretty hard to market. Can you bring Robert through where he might publish a podcast if he were to decide to take up some of the good ideas you're suggesting there?
Yeah, so you just got to start, okay? So it doesn't have to be perfect. Come up with a show name. If you're going to do the interview format, believe me, find the top. Don't shoot low, by the way. When you're doing interview shows, don't ever shoot low, because you will be very surprised how many big-name people will love to come on your show and talk to you about their books, even big-time authors. So let's say you're going to start the romance interview podcast or whatever. Find the top 50 authors on Amazon who sell romance books. You know, go in, find their websites, find their contact forms, and send them an email and say, hey, I'm starting a podcast. I want to interview. You know, we're going to do it over Skype or Google Hangout. All I need is 30 minutes of your time. I want to learn about how you write your books, why you write them, and so forth. Now, you may only get 2 people out of that 50 to respond to you, but people are a good start. And keep going. It will eventually start to steamroll. You're not going to get thousands of people listening to your show overnight. The Sell More Books show that Brian and I do, we are on episode number 31. We've been doing it for 31 weeks. And I think we've approached over 30,000 downloads to the show, right? So, again, it's not like millions and millions of people, but it takes time. Ask Joanna, who just did her 200th podcast, right, about how long it took for that needle to rise as she continued to create more content over and over again. And here's that dilemma where everybody comes to. It's like, where we talk about this on our show is where's that dilemma of how much time do you spend writing and how much time do you spend marketing? And I consider the marketing content marketing, right? Creating podcasts and writing blog articles and things like that, right? And I don't have the answer for you as an author. I just know that you're going to have to spend a lot more time on the marketing part of it than you really thought you ever wanted to, because nobody's going to do it for you, and Joanna will agree with me on that.
Okay, another question for you, just that also kind of hooks back into something you were talking about a moment ago, which was the whole BookBub thing. And ES Ivy, who's a new member, has a question about a list of the best sites to advertise. So kind of everybody knows about BookBub, as you say, they are the £800 gorilla, but there are other sites where you can advertise free books or discounted books, or if you were to do some of the sort of cross-promotional stuff and you wanted to maybe invest in an advertisement for that. Do you have any others that you can recommend?
We do have a course on the Author Marketing Academy called How to Advertise. I forget the official name of it, of course, but it includes BookBub, and it talks about some of the other sites you can promote to. But here's the key point that you need to understand. There's a couple of them, actually. Number one, a book marketing plan that consists of you just buying an ad is not a good book marketing plan, right? I understand why people want that to be the truth, because it's easy. You click a button, you pay somebody some money, and hopefully they expose your book to a lot of potential readers. The problem with that is that it's not an overall book marketing plan. It can be expensive. There's really only there's not that many places that are really that effective. Like BookBub is absolutely the best one, right? Because everyone gets great results. Well, not everyone, but people get great results from their ads typically when you spend money to promote on BookBub, because they've done a great job of curating a list, spending millions of dollars to get readers, and they curate the books that they put in. But there aren't, 100 other BookBubs, unfortunately, yet. So no, there's not a list of the top places you can go where you're instantly just going to sell hundreds of thousands of copies of your book by paying. It just doesn't exist. So you want to make sure that you prep your book for a chance for success before you spend any money on advertising or any time on advertising. And that's really what Author Marketing Club's all about. So we've been stressing this since day one, which is if the cover isn't right, if the title isn't right, if the description isn't suck people in, and the price isn't right, and a million other things, if those home benchmarks aren't completed before you spend money, you're wasting your money. Before you spend time marketing, you're wasting your time. You have to have your home base fixed before you go out and spend money. And I understand why people want to move so quick on this, because they're like, oh, I wrote this book, it's your baby. You love the cover, you love the title, you think the price is right, but then you go out there and you spend $400 on some ad, and you only sold 30 copies of your books, right? And that's a lesson that a lot of us learn because we get very excited when our book comes out. I want to show everybody my baby, right? But perhaps I didn't spend enough money editing it first, and I get tons of bad reviews because it wasn't edited correctly. Or perhaps the book cover wasn't vetted or done the right way, and nobody related to it, or the title was wrong, or the price was wrong. There's a million things, right? So just jumping in and clicking a button, buying ads, I think is the wrong way to do things. Most people will lose money. Prepping your book the right way is the smart thing to do. And then finding places where you can promote your book other than BookBub. Yes, they do exist. I'm not going to give out any other names here. But search web forums and find people who are recommending things. Be sure you do this first, though. Do your due diligence before you spend any money. There's a lot of stuff out there where people are just sucking money from authors, and you're really not getting what you want in return. So before you click that button that says you could get 1,000 reviews for $17, or you could get exposure to 1 million potential readers for $250, do a little research on the Google first, right? I like to call it the Google. So go out and do a little research first and see what people are saying about those products and services before you spend the money, and I think you'll be better off in the end.
Yeah, well, this is one of the things we do is we actually have a watchdog service that vets various author services, and because as you say, there are a huge number of people who are just there to take advantage of authors and providing services that are less than useless. Actually, they're damaging to your reputation and your book's chances. So yeah, the first place to start, a good place to start, is in our partner membership list, which only rates and allows partners that have been vetted by our watchdog service. But I agree with you, Jim, and I think I know you've laboured the point, and I just kind of like to underline it, that very often what people are looking for here is a sort of the quick pill, the easy fix for something that doesn't have a quick pill or an easy fix. That is actually, I think, the more, and I'm sure you would agree, the more we kind of see our marketing efforts as an extension of whatever it is we're doing in our book. So in other words, we wrote the book for a reason. It might be to entertain, it might be to inform, it might be to inspire. Whatever that reason was, that can be carried over into the marketing. And I guess that applies for holiday marketing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything we're talking about applies to all types of marketing. Holiday is just a specific, these things we're talking about today are just specific things you can do to really take advantage of those big time sales moving forward. The last slide I have here, and we'll just cover this and we'll take some more questions if you have them, is just holiday events. If you could have a dream team of authors in your corner as a part of your event, who would they be and why? What's stopping you from asking them to join the event? We talked about this earlier. What's a strong theme you can use to tie your book together with other books? Is this compelling enough to get readers to express interest? Why or why not? Questions you should be asking yourself. How can you make the giveaways more interesting than the run-of-the-mill free digital copies? What kinds of prizes would you want to win if you were seeking prizes, right? So I'm going to end by going back to this slide again, because I want you guys to all understand how important this holiday sales piece is, because that's what this hangout is all about. That spike right on the November, December there is what you're shooting for here. So whether you take one of the ideas that we gave you here today or all of them, I highly suggest that you try at least one of them and give it a go this holiday season and see if you can tap into this massive influx of cash that is being spent on books this holiday season, and you can take a piece of that and possibly build relationships and build content that's going to help you build your platform and your true fans moving forward. So thanks very much for having me on with this. I'd be happy to take some more questions if you have them, but I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Jim. I think actually we're all but out of time. We're just coming up to 1:45. And if people have further questions, they can submit them on our member forum, Facebook forum. Jim is a member there. He's also very contactable online, very open and always willing to take questions. And often with these things, I think it's the ideas start to come when you begin to try and put some of the ideas into practice. And I really, second Jim's call to see the holidays as an opportunity to do something different and perhaps to tie in with the whole concept and themes of goodwill and relaxation and family and so on, or just to connect with other people and get to know new people. It's just an opportunity to get in at a time, at minimum, it's an opportunity to get in at a time when a lot of people are thinking about buying books. So just over to you then, Jim, just to say a final goodbye and to let people know how they can contact you if they wish to do so.
You can head over to authormarketinginstitute.com and you can get links to all of our courses and the content we're producing. And of course, authormarketingclub.com is a free membership. We have a free membership and a paid membership. And we've got lots of information, just like you guys do at ALLi, how to help you guys find success. And that's why we participate in things together like this. So thanks for your time, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you sell a lot of holiday books this season.
And thank you, Jim, for coming in, and looking forward to lots more chat with you now that you are our marketing advisor, and we'll have lots more chats like this and lots of other ways in which we can help our members to reach more readers and sell more books. So thank you very much, and it's over and out from us for now.